The game who shocked the world was sued by Nintendo and mixed survival with what people call Pokemon with guns. This is Palworld. And today, I will try to do something completely crazy. 100% this game, literally everything. And I am not joking. I will reach the maximum level, unlock every achievement, capture each of the pals 12 times. And besides that, I will defeat every boss on the map, including the tower ones on normal and hard mode, and face the dreaded raids, which are bosses made for multiple players. But I'm gonna try to do all of this solo, all by myself. So get ready, grab some popcorn, and let's get started. So let's begin with the basics, which is obviously creating our character, right? We have different presets and we'll choose this guy here just to start. I'll probably change most things, but it's a good start. I changed the skin color because I'm tan, but I'm not that dark, you know, man. So I've already set that one. We can also make our guy really fat. You can make him look quite funny, which really reminds me of Ark, man. There were some guys who made some really messed up characters. There are also faces here. There are like several types of faces. You can even put a woman's face and such. There is quite a lot of variety. I put that one on too. I liked this hair. I thought it looked really cool with these red eyes. And that's it. Let's go. We already woke up with these three pals looking at us like, who is this guy, man? What is he doing here? He already starts running in fear after I woke up. And it's just like Pokemon, man. They even copied the 3 starters. And then there's this little note saying that the towers are the key, that they hold the truth. And so we finally start our game with our first mission to activate the statue to unlock fast travel. But before that, I'll head down here because there are always some items for us to grab. Anyone who plays Dark Souls knows, man, whenever you backtrack a little bit like this, you can find some items to pick up, which sometimes can help you on your journey. And here's this little item we pick up, which tells me the story of the game, I think. Something like that. It is kind of a diary. There is also this little chest we can open, and it has gold, arrows, and that stuff to recover from sickness anyway. And here we have someone to help us, my wife, who will be playing this beginning with me. So I'm not all forever alone here, right? And we started by completing our first mission, as you can see. And now the goal is to collect wood. But first, let's take a look at this little NPC here, man. Who is this woman? Then she starts saying some stuff about an island and so on, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, nothing special. She's just there cooking some meat to grab a bite. And by picking up this wood from the ground, we complete the mission. And here, just to test it, man, I saw this little creature that looks like a sheep. I decided to start hitting it to see what it would do, if it could attack me or something like that. But the creature is very weak. It does not do anything. So I managed to kill it quite easily. It dropped some wool and meat. So here we can unlock some things for us to make. For example, this pal box, which is very important. It is like the main point of our base. There are also these Pokeballs, the pal spheres. I also took the stats. I chose health because I think it is the most important part, right? At least I will try to reach 1,000 health and then I will upgrade the other things. Let us place our primitive workbench here. It is quite easy. I already have the materials. And here it works a little differently. It doesn't just come out ready, you have to build it. And since I don't have anyone to help me, I have to do it by hand, the hard way. But this first little item is quite easy. It's very quick to make. And now we have a mission. I had no idea how to collect this item, this Paldeum fragment, and it's used to make the spheres, which are the Pokeballs. But before I start farming, I need to get this wooden club, our famous club. I decided to test it on this sheep. I hit it, getting some more meat and wool. But when I hit it, man, 2 more started coming at me. I don't know if they were from the same family or what, but they started attacking me, dude. So I killed them all. They are quite weak. There is no secret to it. Then I started exploring the map, taking a look at how to get that fragment, which I had no idea about. I grabbed some stone, wood, and could not find it at all. Until I found this blue rock, man. I said, it has to be this. It can only be this Paldeum fragment. But I didn't have a pickaxe, man, and you can't get that with a club. So I went to our workbench and made our first pickaxe. And now, mining this rock, not even the blue one, I got the Paldeum fragment. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the blue one, it can be any of them. But obviously the blue one must give a lot more. This one here is mostly just stone. I also took the chance to make our big axe, which is extremely important, and our first Pokeball, our first pal sphere. And now the mission to catch our first pal. Yeah, there's no way around it. This video is going to be very long. But I was a fool and was testing it and accidentally threw it in the middle of nowhere. I wasted my pal sphere. So I had to farm more to be able to make other spheres. I made 6 at once, so I'll be fine to do this mission. But I ended up wasting one of them again because I threw it at a dead creature. I thought it would work. I don't know. I didn't even notice it was dead. And then the pal sphere just went right through it. So I farmed a bit more. Then I went for a live one, right? And as you can see, it shows our catch percentage. And if it works, it just keeps increasing until it reaches 100%. And with that, we got our first achievement, which is for catching our first pal, obviously. And now let's make our pal box, which is very important. It's the whole base structure you need to have one to build. Actually, you don't need one to build, right? But if you want a real base to teleport to and repair, you have to have a pal box. And every time you have a pal, it will help you build things, which makes everything faster. And as you can see, we can upgrade our base. The higher the level, the more pals you can have, and you can also increase the number of bases. Yes. In other words, to build a secondary base for farming and such, you need a much higher level. So I already caught our lamb ball and put it in the base, man. I'll let this creature work, as it will now be our slave. I also made this little campfire because we need to roast some meat. You can't just keep eating raw meat or you'll end up dying from sickness. So I already made that awesome barbecue. Very delicious. Look at this, man. It even makes me want to have lunch right now. Man, let me tell you, everything takes so long. I made 3 of these. It was a struggle. I had to call my wife to help me out and get this crap done faster. And actually, I had done it wrong before. I had put the pal to rest, like sort of leaving him in storage, something like that, and he wasn't inside the base, but now I've actually left him inside the base. I even completed the mission. I made a few more items, like this chest, for example, which is very important because my inventory is too small, things weigh a lot, and you can't carry everything, right? And it's already getting absurdly cold. We're freezing here. And keep in mind, I've got a campfire right nearby, man. If I don't want to freeze, I have to stand right on top of the fire. But I ate so I wouldn't starve, and now I've helped out a bit too, right? I've warmed up my body with that awesome barbecue. I went to make some cloth. I don't know how it is in Portuguese, if it's cloth or fabric, but I went to make that because we need to make some clothes. As you can see, our mission is to equip a piece of cloth clothing. And now our next objective is to capture 5 lamb balls. So man, just grab a bunch of spheres and catch every pal we find along the way. That is it, every pal, no mercy. And those sons of guns manage to escape sometimes, man. These guys are really weak and they still keep escaping, so annoying. And in the process, I got pissed. I said, you know what, man? I'm gonna dismantle that base up there and build a new one because it's annoying. Because up there, it's too far from everything. I'm not near the items, the creatures, so I have to keep going down, going up. Just build a base down here, redo everything all over again. I barely had anything up there anyway, just a campfire and a chest. So I just built it down here and redid it all. And I also took the chance to build a real house, right? Because living in a shack that doesn't even have a roof, man, or walls is sad. So I built a real little house, put in 2 beds, placed our workbench, right? Because we're going to need to craft a lot of items here. And this will be my true starter base because you'll see that I'll change bases a lot. There's no way, man. This game, since it limits how you build, you have to keep destroying and redoing everything because as you evolve, you reach higher level areas with tougher creatures and more metal to farm. This area doesn't even have much metal, right? But for now, we don't even need those items, so it's totally fine. I made a little campfire inside, which was a terrible decision. I should have built it outside, but anyway. I also made a little bed here for our creatures because they get sleepy, and if you don't give them a bed, they'll get mad and won't want to work anymore. So I made a bed for them. And we're back to the grind catching more pals. But these guys are really tough, so I had to beat them up, man. First, I'd take away almost all their health, and then there's no way not to catch them, right, man? 93% chance, easy peasy. I also made a plantation, which is extremely important. You'll see later on, we'll need a lot of these berries to be able to make some things, especially cake. For now, it is still too early for that, but later on, it will be very important. I also made the statue that helps you upgrade your pals' stats, and obviously finish the roof of our house, right? We cannot stay out in the rain. And as I said, you can upgrade your base. It is quite simple. You just have to complete some missions, like building some things, those workbenches and such. And I leveled up our base to level 6. Now we can have 6 pals working nonstop. And I also built several structures, basically everything it asked for to level up the base. I really like that. It's like a guide for you to get things done because you get a bit lost, man. What do I do? What do I build? There are so many things to do. This guides you on what you should do, little by little. First, do this. When you finish doing that, do that other thing, and then you upgrade your base. Now you can do more things. I really liked this idea that introduces you to the game items, right? All the structures so you don't get totally lost. Anyway, I kept farming some items, getting more spheres, because we're going to need a lot of them, since the next mission now is to capture 30 pals. And in my adventure of meeting new pals, I ended up dying to that creature there, which is very strong. I shouldn't have touched it. And an invasion started at my base, with several pals showing up, so I took the opportunity to capture as many as I could. I caught this direwolf, and there was also this other one, Leafpunk. I thought it was really cool. It has a very different design. Anyway, I went back down and kept catching several pals. And then arriving in this area, I found this human who was like a pal trainer, you know? And I said, oh man, there must be a way to catch him, right? Because I had already seen some videos of guys doing that, so I went and tried. But then a bunch of guards appeared attacking me, shooting. Man, it is so hard. They are so strong, so overpowered. So I ended up dying. I went back to try and catch this big guy here because he seemed really strong, and yes, I did it. I had to get his health really low for it to work, you know, because even with 57% odds, the thing still kept escaping, and I kept trying to get him to the lowest health possible, like one hit from dying to throw the sphere, but it was tough. The guy is strong. I also caught this fire creature, and then I took the chance to unlock the fast travel down there. Otherwise, I'd end up forgetting. I also built another structure we needed, which is this crusher. It's like a grinder, grinder that can make some items, and with that, I upgraded our base to level 7. I also made some more farms because my pals were starting to starve, and those ones weren't enough, so I made another one. And then I got our big dire wolf, now with a mount, and the guy is really fierce, man. It gets much easier to move around the map. Wow, this is something else. It's on another level. I also took the chance to grab this little green light, which I'll actually have to farm all over the map to get this crap. It's going to be really annoying to collect, but let's not worry about that for now. There's a lot ahead of us. All right, I came down here to capture more pals. You know, to complete that mission, I found this pal trainer there, level 5, which is lower. So I said, oh man, I can't miss this opportunity. I have to get her. So I started by trying to drain as much of her health as I could, right? Otherwise, there's no way. And I already threw the Pokeball. And it was giving a very low capture percentage, 21%. There was a moment it got a critical hitting 24%, and I got lucky on the first one and it went up to 53. But the pest still escaped. There was no way. 50-50 is that thing, right, man? The same chance to succeed is the chance to lose. So I lost. I sounded just like Dilma here, man, my god in heaven.
Neither who wins, nor lost, nor losing, will win or lose.
Anyway, I kept trying. I didn't give up. I kept using all the spheres I had, and I didn't have that many. As you can see, I only had 12 here, but I kept trying. I didn't give up. The problem was just those guards shooting at me. I had to be careful not to die, and even more so since they are level 40, man. But I kept trying, throwing the Pokeball at the thing, and then there was a time it gave 25%. I just went for it. I just let it go, man. I said, oh man, I'm gonna try to kill this thing here. And then I died and got lucky. I caught her. Like, it was a total fluke. On the very last try, I managed it. And with that, we also got this achievement, our second achievement for capturing a human, which is pretty weird, right? Because if you think about it, I can use them as a slave to work for me, meaning I enslave humans in this game. It is good for me, right? And then, not satisfied with just that, I came here and captured another human. A woman again, for a change. I took all her health away, and on the first try, I threw the Pokeball and managed to capture her. With this one, I got lucky. It was very fast. Another one for the books. Well, after dying, obviously, because I can't tank these guards here, they are level 40. We come back down here, unlock this fast travel too, and capture this slyfer, which is this new creature I hadn't caught yet. And it was quite easy since it was low level. As you can see, it already gives 85% right away. And so, by capturing it, we unlock another achievement, which is to capture 10 different types of pals. Yeah, man, I'm becoming a pal expert now. And I took the chance while in these different areas to catch other pals I hadn't caught yet. Like this Typhant here, which, if I'm not mistaken, looks a lot like a Pokemon. I wouldn't know which one because I'm not a Pokemon expert. I have barely ever played Pokemon, to be honest. I must have played one or two and like very little. Actually, one Pokemon game I played a lot was Pokemon Go, which was that one for mobile. That became a craze, right, man? Who didn't play that? Wow, man, good times. I wish I could go back to that time. Man, Pokemon Go was so good. It really was. But anyway, that is not what I am going to talk about now, or I will just keep rambling about the past. Let us get back to the game. I caught one of those T-Fants and found this girl here, Message of Love. I thought, I will talk to her. Let us see if she has anything good to give us. And I kept trading emojis with her, as you can see, and I earned some rewards. Some different spheres that we didn't have, which is this mega sphere and a lot of gold coins. That's great. Plus the training manuals, it's perfect. It was worth it. I got another one of these diaries, which we probably have to collect all of. I unlocked another fast travel, and then I went to farm more pals, like this leaf monkey here, this green one, and I went back to our base, upgraded our statue, which increases our pal capture power. And here I did something really cool, which is this little fountain, kind of a small pool, a hot spring for the pals to rest. Because man, these guys are already slaves. They work without getting anything. I don't give them money or anything. I only give them food and shelter. That's it. Otherwise, it's just hard labor, man. And it is 24 hours a day. As long as the game is open, they have to work. So let us at least provide some fun for them, right, man? Leave some hot spring water there so they can have fun, relax, and get back to work strong. With that, I managed to level up our base to level 8. Our next goal will be to build this medicine workbench, probably to make medicine, right, and a high quality workbench, which is this higher quality workstation that should be able to make some specific items that the other one cannot. Man, I don't know if I'm slow at this game, but I didn't want to focus on min-maxing, like rushing the game or doing a speed run as fast as possible. I wanted to take it easy, man, because honestly, I really enjoyed this game, and I mean a lot. It's been a long time since I've been this addicted to a game. I've been playing this all day for several days. I would go to sleep thinking about the game and wake up thinking about the game. Very few do that. Really few. Actually, if you haven't played it yet, I highly recommend it, man, because I really resisted playing it until now. I thought it was kind of lame, kind of boring, but play for 30 minutes. 30 minutes and you'll be hooked, I guarantee it. Anyway, I just wanted to say that I played at my own pace, so sometimes you might think, my god, this guy is so bad, he's playing so slowly. It is just that I wanted to enjoy the game as much as possible. Enjoy the scenery, go little by little, without rushing. Because when you rush, you kind of lose some of the excitement of the beginning, right? Which is the best part for me, which is the very beginning, when you do not know anything and are exploring the game for the first time. Anyway, I made a few more items there, some structures, put the creatures to work, letting that iron burn there so we can make some metal things, right? because working with a wooden pickaxe doesn't cut it, nor stone. It has to be something made of metal. And I also built this little ranch, which is very useful. With it, we can produce some things like eggs, wool, kind of letting the pals work there, and they'll produce some things for us. And every time I get more pals, I have to go there and make more beds, because there has to be one for each of them. Otherwise, they start getting annoyed and don't work right. So going down, I saw this different creature, which is this Melpaka. I thought it was quite interesting, very different. I don't know if it produces any specific item. If I'm not mistaken, it does. I don't remember right now, but I thought it was cool and I caught it. I also went to that little church there, the one with that little girl in green, where there are always these leaf monks. Anyway, they have these little items. We need to level up the statue. Actually, these NPCs have a bunch of side quests, and I don't think I've done almost any of them, to be honest, because you don't even need them for 100% of the achievements. But it's just more content, right, to have more things to do. Anyway, I just focused on catching as many pals as possible to level up a bit, you know? And by catching 30, we complete that mission. All right, heading back to our base, it was nighttime. So I made those torches to light things up and kept building some structures like this sphere workbench, which makes crafting Pokeballs faster. And in this pal guide, I don't think I mentioned it, but I can use it to craft mounts. It is a bit different from Ark. Here, you do not need to make one for each pal. It stays in your inventory and you gain the ability to ride any of that specific pal. So for example, if it is one of these dire wolf, which is the one I am riding, you can ride any of them, not just the one you made the saddle for, because it is not linked to a specific pal, but rather to your inventory. This is really cool and helps a lot. I find that part of Ark really annoying, having to keep repeating it, making a saddle for every new creature. And like, you don't need to make the game so grindy, man. If you take some of that out, the game becomes more fun, you know? And look, I spent a ton of hours. It was about 250 hours or so. I will show you the exact time at the end of the video. And even so, it was super fun and it was a long time, but it was a long period of fun. You know, I think that is a bit lacking in Ark and other games like it. And now let's go to a mission that will include our first boss in the game, which is this Chillet. He is not one of those main tower bosses, but he is still the first boss we are going to face. Before that, I just stopped by this little tree, which has some fruits that can give some powers to the pals. Actually, it is really good to be able to farm in the middle of the map. But anyway, that is something more for the late game that we will not worry about for now. Arriving at Chillet, it is that little blue creature there, and we will have to either defeat it or capture it. Obviously, I'm gonna try to catch him. Right, man? A big guy like that must be super strong. I'll try to take as much of his health as I can, leaving him really weak. When he was at 31 health, I threw the sphere, and it had an 88% chance of catching. There was no way it wouldn't work, man. I got the timing just right. And as you can see, every time we defeat a boss, we get these ancient technology points. They are different items we can craft, which are very good. They are much better than the normal items, and the only way to unlock them is with these ancient points. Getting back to base, on the way, I found this different creature, this Caprich. It's something like that, man. It looks like a goat, and the name even sounds like it too, right? Caprich, goat, it is almost the same. So I already captured it too. And I went to do our next mission too, which is to make this small feed bag. Because one different thing about this game that I also thought was cool is that for you to be able to kind of consume food automatically, let's say, you're gonna make a lot of meat, a lot of barbecue for your character to feed themselves, right? And not starve to death. You don't have to keep going there all the time clicking so you don't starve, and sometimes you forget and only do it when literally your character is losing health, right? You can have an automatic consumption system. And for that, you just need to make this feed bag, which will sort of unlock a slot in your inventory where you can put food. And that way, your character will automatically consume everything in there. I thought that was great. It's a great quality of life feature in the game, which actually has a lot of that. It feels like, you know, a game full of mods. You'll see in Ark, there are tons of mods that help with this stuff. Palworld already delivered all of that in the base game. And keep in mind, this isn't even version 1.0. The video will probably launch either before version 1.0, a few days before, or after. I hope it is before. But anyway, also, if you want and really like this video, because I thought it was very cool, man, if you enjoy it, it is certain that I will make a part 2 of the game's new update, because I thought this game was very good, it is really top-notch, it got me super addicted. So it will depend on you guys. If you enjoy it and it gets a lot of views, I will bring this new update, which is version 1.0, which has a lot of new content indeed. I'm just in doubt if I should start everything all over from scratch to sort of start over so the video becomes cooler, right? I think, maybe. Yeah, kind of like those 100 days in the game style videos, you know? Anyway, comment below if you want a part 2 or not. Now let's get back to the video. I'm talking way too much already. And now this is going to be very repetitive, right? The next missions will be more boss focused because the very beginning was just to introduce the game to us, to show the basics, but now it is just boss after boss. But first, these creatures started invading me again because this base location I chose is terrible since there are so many invasions here. Some specific places have fewer invasions, but this one has way too many. They are invading me all the time. At least there was this different creature there, that pink one. It actually reminds me a bit of Mewtwo, even though it's not the same color, it's a bit similar. I tried to capture it, this first one ended up dying, but I kept trying and managed to catch it. And here we have this all dark guy. The reason for that is he's a smuggler. He's kind of the owner of the black market. He's quite interesting because he sells various pals to you. But I'm broke, right? I don't even know why I'm looking at this. Look at my gold, 167. My god, I don't even have money to eat properly, man. I kept exploring, unlocking new areas, which actually give good XP. I arrived at this dungeon here, which has the panking, which is the mission I have to do. And man, I got crushed. I died really fast. I didn't even have a chance. I barely took any health off the creature. So I left him making more pal spheres to get a little stronger, you know? I also built this expedition structure, which was to level up the base, right? And it is really cool that you can sort of take your pals and send them on an expedition and they return many good items. Like it can unlock different Pokeballs of higher levels and even crafting items, things like that. That was a bad part that I did not take advantage of as much in the game, that I almost did not use this function. I used it more towards the late game. I think it was really useful early on, man. I really messed up. Anyway, to get stronger and manage to beat this next boss, I kept searching on Google for ways to level up faster, things like that. And I saw that one of the best ways was to get like 10 of the same pal. Every time you reach that maximum number, you get the most experience possible from that specific pal. And after you hit the limit, it doesn't matter how many more you catch, you don't get as much experience, you know? You don't get that special bonus. Actually, the game has already changed that here. It used to be 10, now it is 12, as you can see. So there is sort of an extra space, which is actually good because it gives more XP, even though it is technically a longer grind that we have to do, right? So I just kept doing that for a while, catching many different pals. Any that I hadn't caught the maximum number of, which was 12, I would go and try to catch. And in doing that, as I explored several areas, I ended up reaching these golden hills and unlocked another achievement for finding 10 new areas. There was even this woman at the little farm who gave me a quest when I talked to her. But I'm not doing any side quests, no, because they're actually quite boring. There might be some that are interesting, that give some cool items, but most are really boring. And man, check it out, we simply got Pikachu here. They totally ripped it off. This is literally a Pikachu. There is no way. But to be honest, I actually thought this one looked better than Pikachu, at least to me, because it has these black details. I thought it was much cooler, and obviously I had to catch one of them, right, man? It is not just about killing. I have to catch a cool creature like this one. So I already got the Sparket, which is awesome. I was catching others too, like this Vixie. Anyway, I was catching everything I could there. I was on this grind to catch as many pals as possible to level up, and on the way, I found this different boss. I don't even know if you can call it a boss, right? At least it has a boss health bar. But he is an amateur hunter, and he keeps using that machine gun. The guy is weak, man. He is total trash, because this is a Palworld. It is the world of pals, and the guy uses a little gun, man. A little gun? Man, you've got to be kidding me. I killed him right away, threw him off the cliff, that's it. And after him, I found this really cool little village. I thought this was pretty neat. It's kind of a community, lots of people working. There are some pals there hitting the metals and such. You can even buy various things since there are some merchants here. And if you remember, you can keep capturing the humans, right? And that is a very important thing because if I capture one of these merchants, I can take him to my base. Hey, my friend, you can always keep buying any type of item right at your base without worrying about having to travel or go to where the guy is. No, at your base, you have the merchant. But let's be honest, we're too weak to do that right now, so I didn't even risk it. So I just saved the fast travel point so we can easily come back here later, right? Then I went back to the grind to catch more pals. I caught this Gangle here. And with that, we got another achievement, which is this intermediate pal tamer or something like that. I will catch 20 different pals. And back at the base, I make our first cooler, our fridge, which if I'm honest, was of no use to me at all. And before you say anything, calm down. The reason for this is because I changed some world settings, right? Because let's be honest, the game, even though it has changed quite a lot compared to other similar games, it still has a bit of a heavy grind. And mind you, I still spent over 200 hours to get 100%. So I tweaked a few things for quality of life and such, so my items don't rot, you see. I think like this mechanic isn't that useful. Like it's not as if it's gonna change much. It won't make beating the game much easier or much harder. No, it is just a matter of like, oh, I need to eat, right? Get some meat and such, and then the meat keeps running out all the time. Or, oh, I need to feed the animals and the food keeps running out all the time, rotting. I just preferred to disable that option, so I do not think it changes much. But I use the fridge to store the food, right? Because at least it stays separate. It does not stay with the other items in the chest. And with that, we upgraded our base to level 10, and now we can have a second base so we can set up some farming. But before that, since it was nighttime, I decided to catch some different pals that only appear at night, like this big guy here, Tombat. There are several others, there is this Depresso and such, but for now I caught this one, and then yes, I picked this little spot I found on the internet, which is very good because it has a lot of iron, a lot of metal around, which allows for some insane farming. But it has a very serious problem that I hadn't noticed and didn't know about, which is these raids, these cursed raids. I was just chilling there, farming, getting my pals to farm a lot of metal, and suddenly a bunch of these Pal Alliance creatures showed up, that alliance of theirs, and they started killing me, man. And they kill, since they have these little guns, it gets really annoying. My pals aren't that high level, so like it was a massacre. They wiped out everything there. Yeah, epic in the chat, but I just accepted defeat, and here I did something that simply changed everything. I captured this Nightwing, which is a bird, and right after I made this saddle for it, which will be very good because now we can fly. Yes, oh my god, this is like a huge convenience that will give us now. Being able to fly in the game makes everything easier, and I finally can. Now, I do not need to keep taking that direwolf to get to places, and it takes much longer. Besides, there are some areas that are quite hard to access. These higher mountains, you have to keep looking for a place to climb. It is annoying. Now, I can just fly and pass over everything. So I already started unlocking some fast travels, right? I passed through this raid area. I did not even kill the creatures. I just grabbed the chest and left. Actually, there was a moment when this little drop fell. Look, usually these meteors fall and you can get items. Either items or this meteor fragment. I prefer when it's an item, you know, but this time I got the fragment, so I grabbed it because it's useful for some things. And I just dismantled that base I had set up to farm metal because it was in a horrible spot. There were too many raids and I didn't have enough pals to be able to kill them, you know, because mine are very weak. So I said, no, let's accept defeat and get out of there. I captured a few more of these tombats. They seem to be very good. And I already looked for a new place for our base. And this area here, it's very good. It's very big. And yes, there is a ton of metal. This is the best area of all. For me, it is just top tier. I will stay here for a long time. You will see it will take a while until I move my base again. So I already started adjusting everything, getting things done. I didn't even build a real house, you know, with walls and a roof. I just put down the essentials. I also added these hot springs for our pals because they get really happy and work much better. And even though I didn't build a proper little house, our base turned out really nice, man. I put the miners there, the stuff to get wood, it turned out great, man. Depending on the spot, you find a downside. Like, oh, there's no stone, no wood. But in this spot where I am, I can already place those mining wood and stone spots. I still can't do metal, right? Which would be much better, and I could leave the base wherever I wanted. But for now, that is all I have done, and this will be our base, since it has plenty of metal for us to farm. And now, yes, we are a bit stronger, a level above this Pen King, which is level 15. Let us go defeat him. And the main creature I chose to kill him is this Chillet, which is very good. It is a boss too, right? I didn't have much trouble with that. My creature alone managed to take most of the boss's health, and of course, I didn't just kill him, I preferred to capture him, because that way, I can use him on the next bosses. And I went to complete the next mission, which was quite easy. I just had to place these egg incubators, which will be very important because now we can breed our pals and I won't need to keep catching a bunch around the map. Besides, you can do some cool breeding, make the pals stronger, get some cool mutations, and get better stats. I even already used one of the eggs I had in my inventory, which I picked up around the map, which is this verdant one. I already left it incubating there. The time is actually fast. It does not take long. Sometimes you have to place some campfires around to warm it up, but it is quite easy to hatch the egg. Meanwhile, I went to do the next objective, which is our first real boss. Those others were just map bosses and such, like mini bosses, right? This is the first real boss, one of the tower ones, and it had to be the main one, the one that appears most in the trailers and on the game cover, which is this Grisbolt, who is with this Zoe. And I started with the same strategy, which is using a pal, but I realized it is terrible against this Grisbolt because he is electric and I was using a water type. It is literally my creature's weakness. So I just switched, tested a few different ones, seeing which was the best I had available, right? Little by little, I was taking away as much health as possible. I used this direwolf a lot. I think he is incredibly strong. And in the end, I left him with very little health and tried to capture him. I thought, like, I managed to get all the others, maybe this one would work too, but no, these tower bosses are impossible to capture that way. A Naxar, like, I do not even know how you catch this creature for now. It is only later on that it will be possible to capture it, but in its fight inside the tower, there's no way to capture it. So I just killed it and completed the mission. Now, the next mission was in a different area where I had to capture this ground Eikthyr deer. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name right, but he looks like a reindeer, right? And this one is a special type because many creatures in the game, many pals, they have a special version of themselves with a different element. For example, this one has its own element, and then there's this ground one, which is a bit better, not necessarily a bit better, right? But a bit rarer, I would say. So I kept getting his health really low to capture him and complete the mission. It was actually easy, and since I was already in this area, which has some rarer, more special creatures, I went ahead and captured some others, like this Pen King, who is one of the bosses, because otherwise I would have had to kill him to capture him. So I took the chance and got another one until eventually I died. There was no way around it. This creature was strong. Then I switched to this other armor. It is a bit stronger, and it also helps protect me from the cold. I made this kind of cell, which works like this. You can keep your pals inside because there is a limit to how many you can keep in a base, right? And even the storage in the base, which is not necessarily working, but it is quite limited. So if you want to have more pals to use, you can keep some in this cage where they stay just fine stored away and you can make a bunch of them. It's no problem, and keep storing them there. And it's actually good because you can see them, like you can visualize them, since the pals that appear at the base are only the ones you actually put there to work. If you want to display some of them, maybe you find some beautiful and don't necessarily want to use them for work, but want to keep them on display, you can use this cell, which is great for that. Anyway, after that, with us prepared, I went to face our next boss, which is this Lily along with this Lilin. And this boss is super strong. It is a grass type, so we have to find a pal that is strong. Against the plant, if I'm not mistaken, fire is, and I have nothing fire related. I'm literally super weak. So that's why I got beaten up by her, no chance at all. And then going back to that village from before that I told you about that we passed here, I tried to capture this merchant. I threw one at his face, but he had full health, so there was no chance at all. He was at 0%. But I didn't give up. I kept at it, trying to chip away at his health. And then I stayed kind of hidden in a spot there where the creatures couldn't attack me because I had shot at him, right? I just kept throwing this Pokeball over and over until I managed to catch him. It was about 34% chance more or less, and it kept going up until I caught him. Now we have a merchant at our base. I already put him in our base. I didn't waste any time. And as you can see, we can buy things directly from him right here. And check out how many crops I planted, man. There is a lot of stuff here. I also left those big guys there. They water the plants, and that way we will get many resources. Another thing I did was add this research lab where we can make some upgrades to the general game stats. I just placed it to do the upgrades to the base and such. I also came to this area with these structures here, looking for a dragon egg, which I saw on the internet that there is a dragon egg here that is very strong and you can use in the early game. It will be extremely useful against Lilia and Lylan because it is fire type. So, it took a while to find the egg. To be honest, I had to look several times, going back and forth in this area, because this structure is huge, so it took a long time to find it, but I got it and then just hatched the egg. Then I went to face the boss again to see if I could do it this time with this fire creature, but there was no way. She is too strong. She took all my creature's health really fast. And I barely took any health off her. Like, she has 64,000 health. I didn't take anything at all, and then she just killed me. So there's no way. First, we'll have to farm a lot to be able to pass, and do that thing again that I mentioned, of catching as many pals of the same type as possible, until reaching that limit of 12. So it would give an experience bonus to see if I could level up faster. But to be honest with you, I saw a lot of people saying this was great for XP, that you could level up really fast. I don't know if it was actually good when the game launched way back at the start, because playing it now, I didn't like it, man. I thought this whole thing of catching several pals was really slow. It gave very little XP, at least for me. I found it much easier to just keep killing bosses, like when I went to kill that King Paka there, which I find around the map. I thought it was better to just keep killing pals doing missions. The shitty part is that now, like this, the next main mission I have is to kill a boss that is way too strong, so there is kind of no way, right? But generally speaking, I didn't really enjoy the grind of catching many pals to level up. I didn't like it, so I focused on killing several bosses. I went after all the ones nearby, all the ones I could defeat that were close to my level, like this Azarobe 2. And of course, not killing them per se, I tried to capture the pal because, like, it's a clear opportunity there for me to get a few more. I'm not gonna mess up and kill them, right? And then after leveling up a bit, reaching level 24, which wasn't that high, I tried coming back to this beast again to try and kill it with several fire creatures. I actually managed to take off a lot more of its health, but it was killing my creatures so fast that I had to keep swapping them in and out so they wouldn't get hit by its main attacks and lose too much health. And there were several attempts, some I almost killed it, left it with very little health, but still it wasn't enough. So I decided to do some breeding there, try to get some stronger creatures, as you can see. I was focusing on getting some fire ones. For that, I had to do some farming and get some different pals, because certain breed combinations, you know, like one pal with another, result in a better one. So I looked at a site with a guide showing the best fire pals and which combinations I should make, and that's how I went. And for that, I had to make a lot of cake. As I told you at the beginning of the video, it's a very important thing to be able to breed the creatures. And with that, I went again to try to kill her with the stronger pals, level 27 now. And even then it didn't work, she managed to kill me. So I did the following. I made some food that gives attack bonuses and such. I also made some arrows because I didn't have many, and that way I could get an extra attack in on her. But one thing I was struggling with every time I went to kill her, every time I went after this boss, was that I was almost freezing to death before reaching the boss. The teleport is a little bit far, like slightly far. You just have to go down the hill, and just that descent almost takes all my health in this cold. But I kept persisting, using the best pals I had against her, especially this Jormuntide Ignis, who is like the toughest one I have so far, and will be my main pal for a long time. And there is also the fact that he is fire type, right? So he deals extra critical damage to her. And with that, after a lot of struggle, after several pals died, as you can see, with only that water one left, as you can see, we managed to kill this boss. And just like that, we unlocked that awesome achievement. And now I went straight to our next boss to test it, you know, just to see how it is, if it's hard, if I can beat it the way I am. But it was that one there, Axel and Orsurk. And as you might expect, I died right away. It was almost a one-hit kill from that beast. So time for that grind once again. And this was the thing that took me the longest, because every time there was a new boss that was harder and had a higher level, I had to farm a new pal specifically for it. Because like you go and make one really strong, you max it out as much as you can at your current level, get it top tier, and then you see the new boss has a totally different element and needs a different creature to deal considerable damage. So it becomes this very repetitive grind. And the next one I went after was Anubis. Obviously, I wasn't going to try to catch her normally because I don't even know where to find her. To be honest, this whole game, I think I only got her by breeding because it's not that hard to crossbreed her and she is very strong. Seriously, this creature here is like one of the most overpowered. It's really good at doing work at the base, kind of a jack of all trades, besides being very strong, especially against this boss we're going to face. So I did that, and I came back here to this starting part of the map because I remember trying many times to kill this forest creature, this Mammarest, but I was so weak and couldn't even really damage it. So I said, maybe now I can, right? But no, the creature is still strong. It barely loses health. It is very tanky. So I went exploring the map a bit, picking up these little drops, which sometimes give you some really cool stuff, as you can see here. I also unlocked this new little village, which is the fisherman one. And here there is another merchant who is very important because he has some different items. But I tried to capture him, and my pal ended up killing him, and right after that, I died. Anyway, I did some more breeding there, got this Fenglope, and went after the Mammarest, which I'll need, but not the boss this time, obviously, because I couldn't beat it. We also have this metal merchant, but I don't have any metals, so yeah, let's just skip that part. And by doing some combinations, I've now reached the water Jormuntide. Yes, there is the fire one and there is the water one. I caught several pals, I caught a bunch more pals, I made this herbivore, I made more plantations because I need a lot of cake to be able to do the breeding. And I was thinking, trying to make a second floor there for our breeding, but it wasn't working out. The space was too small and I couldn't do it. So I thought, man, I have a spare base. That old one I wasn't using, so I just dismantled it and built a new base. This time, initially, I thought about making a breeding-only base, just to be able to breed the creatures, while still using the old one. But you know, when you change it once, you keep going, adding a little bit of stuff, and in the end, it became my main base. But basically, I used it to do as much breeding as possible, to get the best creatures possible. I did some good research and saw there is this Lylan and this other guy who helps with farming since I needed a lot of cake. So I had to get these guys who are specialists in water, plants, and planting itself, you know, those things. And then, my friend, it was 3 floors of breeding, just love in there and getting a lot of awesome creatures. I also took the opportunity to build our first awesome base because that other one was made of wood. I made this one out of stone and it turned out really cool. Honestly, I'll be sincere, I didn't even create this design because I'm terrible at designing. Think of the worst guy at design. That's me. I can't build houses like this. Back in my Minecraft days, I only built square houses. So I looked up designs online and just copied the guy, that's right. Anyway, our base turned out really complete, really cool, lots of neat stuff. I managed to get some more really good PAL combinations, which are this Nochlin and this Astagon. They are very good for mining. I saw that for my current level, he was one of the best. And I thought of some areas where I could have a good base for metal farming, because my current one has almost no metal at all. And in that, I found this one, which is on top of the mountain, and it has plenty of metal for you to collect. Besides metal, there are other items there, like obsidian, something like that. So I went ahead and built it, which took me a long time. Sometimes I don't know if I spend time on unnecessary things, but I don't know. It's a cool part of the game, right? Building and making new bases. Sometimes I make a base, I use it for a very short time, and then I build another one from scratch. Anyway, I did the best I could. I added those vacation spots so they can get some thermal water. I added a farm and some little farms over there. It is basically the essentials for you to get as much metal as possible. That was my idea for this base. It was a farming base. And after a long time, a lot of grinding, as you can see, I kept doing several things. I already got that Jormuntide saddle and now we can ride him. You notice there are some different attacks we can do, which is really cool. And man, at this point, I was already getting very strong. I was a much higher level. I was almost 40. I am level 39. I won't remember right now exactly what Axel's level is. Yeah, actually, I just looked it up, man, just to show you guys, and he is level 40. So I am level 39, and I am at a level very close to his, so I could not defeat him. It would be very stupid of me, quite difficult and time-consuming to try to kill him now. So what I did was try to farm more and reach a slightly higher level, at least around 45. And I thought of some good ways to level up, because it is taking a long time to level up, I will be honest. And even with my world settings turned way up, like to level up faster, it still took a long time. So man, if you play on everything normal on default, it's an eternity and an infinite grind to finish everything. Anyway, I kept going. I got this new creature here that is really good, the Phaleres. He is a great flyer. He is very fast. I also made another base. Yes, did you think I had made enough bases? No, I am the king of bases here. I am crazy. I am always making new bases. I went on doing some side quests, especially that one with Zoe, because I saw you could get a skin of her, which was really cool. So I went on doing some of her quests, which actually gave me Zoe and Grisbolt as a pal. It is not Grisbolt separately. It is the two of them together. Then the next mission was really annoying because I had to kill 30 of those Power Alliance members, and they were really strong. It took a long time to kill them. Really annoying. I even found a little bug where I stayed on top of this part here where they couldn't attack me. I just kept killing them, and I saw that it gave a lot of experience, man. I said, you know what, man? I'm gonna stay here for a while repeating this. And then I managed to level up a bit. 41. Yeah, it wasn't that much. But, okay, anyway, during all that grinding I was doing to be able to kill this Axel, who is much stronger than I was. He's level 40, right? And I was at a very low level, so I had to level up a lot. I managed to unlock some achievements. First was this one for getting 50 different sticks, which is an easy achievement, right? You'll get that easily mid-game. And here's one I probably shouldn't have gotten yet because it takes longer, but I left my PC on for a long time while I was offline. I left it on all-night farming, which is this Iron Heart one for crafting 10,000 ingots, 10,000 irons. That's a whole lot. I also got one for exploring 30 new areas, and even then, I wanted to get a bit stronger, level up a bit, you know, so I kept killing more bosses. I even took down this one in the middle of the map, this Omascu, who has this red aura around him. And the reason for that is that he's a predator boss, much stronger than the others. It was a bit tough, but I was level 40, and he was a much lower level, so I managed to kill him. And with that, we also got another achievement, which is that one there. And then I saw that there's also this Depresso one, which is way cooler. I thought it was really good. So I went and started the quest to get it. First, I had to make 20 of these high-quality cloths to give to the creature, and that's how I got the skin, man. In the end, I even tried to catch it along with this other small creature, but it didn't go very well, you know, several guys showed up wanting to kill me, but that's okay. The important thing is the skin we got. At that point, I said, I'm a bit stronger now. Level 41, the boss is 40, it should be fine to kill this Axel. But no, the creature is too strong. It one hit killed me and finished me off. So what would be best to do after all that? Obviously, it was time to grind, do some farming, and level up. But guess what I did? Build another base, of course. Nothing better than building more bases. After all, I don't have enough. So I saw this base style here, kind of multiple, which are several together. If I am not mistaken, there are 8 joined at once. Yeah, so yes, I increased the number in the world settings to be able to build this base, because normally I think the limit is 4 or something like that. And with that, I kept making these bases. And I spent so much time doing this, man. Think of something that was hard work and took a long time. It took almost a whole day, man, doing this. It is a waste of time. I was so stupid. And in the end, I did not even use it all because I did not even finish the project I wanted. It was going to be really cool. It would have been awesome, but I got lazy. I needed a lot of materials, and I did, like, the floor, I put everything right of stone. I circled the whole base. I even put a gate around it, but actually making the base with the items, no, I did not do it. So I went to do some farming, killed several different bosses, and saw which one was giving more XP so I could level everything up. And here is an achievement I didn't record, because since I left my PC on a lot while I was sleeping, sometimes I'd go out and the PC would stay there running. With the creature working, going, I ended up getting this one for trust level 10 with the pal, which is best friends forever. It probably got it because my pal was working at the base with the other creatures there, and since I was offline, it kept gaining more trust and such until this achievement popped up. So you won't see me actually getting it, but there it is, I got it. It's actually quite rare. And then after leveling up a bit more to level 42, I went back to trying to kill this Axel. And obviously, I also got that weapon there, that semi-auto rifle, because it is much better and I can deal more damage, right? That makes a gigantic difference. And then with a lot of effort using more than one Anubis, because it seems like it is the best of all to be able to kill this beast, I managed to kill this pest. It was really hard. I think it was the toughest boss I've faced so far. And check out how many Anubis I made, man. Seriously, once you get the hang of breeding, it's just crazy, man. Oh my, and the good thing is you can combine them all into one, making them much stronger. You can see it increases their star level. And so the next boss is this Marcus from the PIDF in that tower there, along with this Phalaris, which is a great pal, by the way. But yeah, you can probably guess, right, that I got massacred. I am still way too weak for this boss. I always go straight to him just to see what it is like, you know, man, to see like how strong the creature is, what his attacks are, but like I will always be dying, always, there is no chance. I kept working on that other base I told you about. That was for me to manage, but I ended up getting lazy. I put a few things there. I went on to face a few more bosses to be able to level up, right? There is this Sibilix there, which is in the middle of the map. And by killing it, we get this achievement, which is the Rocky Paw player, for getting 5 of these tokens. Anyway, I went around killing like all the bosses available on the map that I hadn't killed yet, like this Verdash here, this Violet, literally everything there was to kill and level up, I was killing. In the process, I even explored a new area, which is this one here, Sakura. I thought it was really cool. It was either the latest DLC released at the time or one of the last, but I thought it was the most beautiful one so far. Anyway, there was a lot of farming and grinding. I even killed Axel again to see if I could level up faster. Until level 45, catching all the water pals I had, like this Phalaris Aqua, which is very good. There is also Jormuntide. I went to face this Marcus again with this Phalaris, and even though my level wasn't that much higher, this time I managed to kill him. And let me tell you, that guy was tough. It was a long battle. Like, it took a really long time to kill this guy, but we did it and got another achievement, right, for killing this thing. Every boss we kill from these towers, there's an achievement. And the good thing is, it gave me a lot of experience. I reached level 47 all at once. It was 2 levels up. And after that, I went to test something a bit different, to advance in the game. I already went to see which legendary pals are on the map, and there is this one, look, Frostallion, which is one of the strongest in the game, and obviously it killed me with 1 hit. But there is a little trick that you might think is bad, but I did it because I thought it was brilliant, and it can help things go faster, right? Which is, bro, you can capture this creature much more easily without being at its level by placing these little campfires underneath until its health is low. But at the beginning, I kept trying to do that and it wasn't working. It kept waking up and I ended up giving up and said, man, why don't I just do this? I'll build a base right next to him, surround it with wooden structures, put everything I can, the strongest ones I have, and enter a battle with this creature. Maybe, I don't know, 30 against 1, I might be able to kill him. Not kill, right? My goal wasn't to kill, it was to get his health low and then capture him with a sphere. I'm telling you, this was a bit stressful. He killed my creatures several times, and I had to keep waiting for their respawn time. It was insanely annoying. And even then, I couldn't capture it because it had very little health left and I just had to throw the sphere. It had 3 health points, but my creatures ended up killing it and I couldn't capture it. Sad. So since I wasn't succeeding, I gave up for now. And let me tell you, I only failed because I was being stupid because it was possible, and soon you will see how I do it. But I gave up and went to face the next boss, which is this Victor along with that Shadowbeak. That creature is incredibly strong, and I actually think its design is really cool, but it didn't work out. It basically insta-killed me, and I didn't stand a chance. I went back to Marcus and Phalaris again, and now I'm a bit stronger. The second time is always easier, right? You gain a lot of levels when you kill them the first time, so it gets easier to defeat them, and I keep repeating that to level up. And at level 48, but obviously with some different pals. As I say, you need this specific element to hit the boss's weakness. I got this Azdakon that I saw people recommending to kill him, along with this little frog and the fire one I have. And with that combination, trying to pull them out whenever a stronger attack came so the creature wouldn't take too much damage. I managed to kill it. It took much longer. As you can see, the time left was only 2 minutes and a bit. So if I had taken any longer, time would have run out. There would be no way. But I managed, I killed it, and got another achievement. I tell you, we are almost done with the towers. We are close to beating it. The next one was this Saya, and the problem here, which is very annoying, is that being in this area, she is unbearable because I cannot fly. Every time you fly for a long time, these missiles come and end up knocking you down and killing everything, killing you and your mount. I even set up a base there to use as a checkpoint, a teleporter, you know, so I wouldn't have to start all the way back from the beginning, but it was still annoying. That's when I found this Xenoguard. It wasn't that high level, so I just took off a bit of health and it was pretty easy to capture. And then, once again, I was trying things that aren't at my level, which was capturing this Jet Dragon, one of the strongest in the game, maybe the best. For me, at least, to be able to ride and fly around, it's the best of all without a doubt. But even for fighting, if you have the right element, it's really overpowered. But there was no way. I even used that Frostallion strategy I told you about of putting a base nearby and gathering all my pals to kill it, and it didn't work. So I went on building my base, constructing a few things. As you can see, I made several connected bases, which was the initial idea, to be able to make a gigantic base with everything needed there, farms, all those things. Little by little I was doing it. There was even a boring part because there were a lot of trees there, and if I kept breaking everything with the axe, it would take hundreds of years to be able to complete all that, clear it, and manage to build. So the strategy I used was to use that stick, which is really good for destroying those things. It has sort of a missile. It has some bazookas we can throw at the trees. That way it's easier to break everything. Even so, it was quite annoying, an unbearable grind that I didn't even need to have done. I do some really unnecessary things, man. That is why I spent so much time playing this game. It was over 200 hours, but if you look closely, many of those hours were useless. Just me making random bases. Look at how many bases I made, man. Besides, clearing all that out took a long time. Then I put up gates surrounding everything to stop the raids. Man, that was totally unnecessary. Plus, I didn't even fully finish the base, man. I thought about finishing it, but I didn't. And even then, there were raids right in the middle of the base. Those annoying samurai kept showing up. I even captured a few, but it was still really, really bad. At least I had space so I could do things more easily. I set up some mining there, as you can see, filled it with those Aztecon that you can farm, and there are also those dig toys. Anyway, I kind of built bases together, but each sector for one thing. You know, the idea was to make a sort of gigantic industry with everything I wanted to do, like having farms, breeding, yeah, iron, everything. It didn't really work out, did it? Because I didn't finish it. Anyway, I went back to try and capture the jet dragon one more time. I surrounded it with these walls with windows and put campfires underneath to drain its health, so it stays nice and calm there, doesn't wake up, and takes a lot of damage. Once its health is gone, I go over and throw the sphere, since I have this ultimate one here that is very strong. But I had no luck. It was at 11% and still wouldn't catch. There was a moment I almost got him, but I forgot to turn off the campfires. I should have turned them off. Otherwise, if I didn't catch the beast, he would just touch the fire and burn more, and then he would die. And that's what happened. I killed him, but I didn't give up. I went back to Frostallion this time and I said, no, at least this one has to work. I have to get this. Ik ken de story, een like showy D. So I surrounded him, placed the campfires underneath, and kept trying to do this over and over, repeatedly, until I succeeded. And then, with a lot of tries, even though it was showing 11% at the start, I managed to catch this awesome beast. It even gave me an achievement for catching him, you know, because he is a legendary pal, right, man? He even has an achievement, he is legendary. It even has this broken status that gives a huge attack and defense bonus. It's insane. And then later, man, I was testing several things at my base and such, and I saw that you could sort of butcher a pal. You have to get some resources it gives you. And I went and did that with Anubis, man, and it sort of censors it. It almost looks like something else, but I was killing him. Anyway, as you can see now, I am riding Frostallion, and he is very fast. He is much faster than all the ones I have so far. But Jet Dragon is still faster, so I went after him. I did the same setup, put down the little campfires, but he would wake up sometimes and kill me. Yeah, it didn't really work out. I thought that since I had this Frostallion, he would be able to kill the Jet Dragon, but there's no way because he's kind of capped at the level I'm at. He does not stay at level 60. If I am 51, he stays 51 too, so that strategy did not work. But the campfire trick still works. I just had to set it up right so he wouldn't die from the fire before his health got low. I had to keep him alive and keep trying until I got it. Even when he was super low on health, like one hit from dying, I couldn't do it. It just didn't work. He was really much harder, but I didn't give up. I tried so many times, just dying, respawning, coming back, setting the bonfire, destroying the bonfire. Man, it took so long, you have no idea. It took long hours farming this and trying, obviously with a lot of stupidity, because I was still a noob. I didn't know much about the game. I was playing for the first time, and it was my first time doing this too. Because if I try again today, even starting from scratch, I'll manage much more easily because I already have the hang of how it's done. This time, no, I was discovering it for the first time. But anyway, I kept trying several times, and actually when I finally got it, I didn't record it. Yeah, you'll think I'm hacking, I know, but I'm not. And I have proof because luckily I managed to record the ending in time. As soon as I caught it, I realized I wasn't recording, but I managed to hit the record shortcut just in time to catch the very end. So as you can see, a new pal captured, the legendary Jet Dragon. I also managed to capture the achievement moment, so you can see it's my first time catching this celestial dragon. He is really fierce. Seriously, look at how fast he can run. The creature is insane. So I went straight to make the saddle. I wasn't going to waste time, right? It's the fastest creature in the entire game. And not only that, I also took the chance to go get another Frostallion. Yes, since they have a longer respawn time, I think it's over an hour, something like that. You can't just keep farming infinitely there, coming back, getting another one. You can't. But every time I remembered, I went there and got another one. And I came back here and got one more Frostallion using the same method. This time, since I already knew how, it was quite easy. I left the fire burning him until he was low on health, then I would go and turn off the campfires and just capture him, trying several times until it eventually worked. And with that, now we have 2 Frostallion and 1 Jet Dragon. And the thing I was most looking forward to after catching this beast, man, was a trick you could use to level up a lot. This here was like phenomenal. You can do this little grind right at the start of the game, if you're smart. There are specific ways you can get these higher level spheres, right? Which is the only way to catch these creatures. There is no other way, even if it has 1 health point. And then you can use this little trick to catch it. And the XP trick is to come to this Sakura area and keep throwing this little power at these creatures, man, because they take a lot of damage, it deals area damage, and then you just farm, keep rushing there, repeating until you reach the maximum level. But I didn't stay there long. I went off to do other things. I'll go back later and farm some more. I built these several floors of crops, as you can see. It makes it much easier for the guys to go there, plant, and water. It's very chill. Plus, it gives way more items, right? This way, it's just awesome. Anyway, moving on to our next boss, which is this little creature, Saya, who, by the way, has a beautiful design. Man, I thought this boss was one of the best in terms of design, at least, right? That pal there is incredible, very beautiful, really awesome. She is also very beautiful. So like, I really like this boss, at least in terms of design, right? The fight is cool too, I won't lie, right? The fight is awesome. It's not my favorite, but it's awesome. And she's strong too because I died on the first try. So I kept on the grind. Farming. I came to this area here, which is annoying. It doesn't let you fly, picking up some items because it drops some things that are quite interesting since it is a higher level area. I went around catching some pals I hadn't caught yet. They are different. I thought they were very beautiful. I wanted to use them in my base. Even though they don't have the best stats, I can level up their stats. Seriously, tell me this creature doesn't have a top tier design, man. And another thing I did, which is very important, is the oil, obviously. So I went to this desert area, built a base, put the oil extractors there, since we'll use a lot of this item in the future. I came back here to this little area to do some experience farming. So I did some research on the best ways to defeat this Saya, since she is quite strong and I was not at the highest level. I saw that a good option was to capture these Gofin because they have a passive ability that makes your physical attacks deal much more damage. So like it was basically a support setup for the pals to boost your damage. And then you use your plasma weapons, machine gun, things like that, and that way you deal more damage yourself. There won't be a pal to help you hitting things and such, but you hit them yourself, and that way you deal much more damage. I saw that many people use this method and all, but it was much more complicated because you had to get the Gofin to the maximum level. Yes, you had to get it fully maxed out. And to max them out, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 128 pals of the same type. Kior. I think that's it. You need about 128 Gofins, and then you keep maximizing it until it reaches the maximum level. It's something like that. And to combo with this, we take this Gale Claw. It's an eagle that has a very good passive, where when you jump to use the glider, you use it instead, which makes you much faster. Actually, this was really good for the game itself, man. You had to get this one as your very first pal because it is insanely good. Anyway, after a long farm, catching many Gofins, as I said, it's a lot that I had to catch. Yeah, I don't even know if I think I did some breeding too to speed up the process, because while I was catching some, it was there generating eggs, which sped things up, made it faster. But it was a long grind. Still, I finally managed to make a 4-star Gofin, which is the maximum level. And that is how we got the Alpha 1 achievement for a maxed out pal. And then, with my team ready, the best thing I could do is level up. Because it is no use if they are just good, have good passives, and 4 stars, they have to be at the maximum level, right, man? I am level 55, but they are not level 55. So I went to that area I told you about with the Sakura trees, and the setup here for farming experience is just broken. Because it basically works like this. You use this Meteor Rain attack, which is kind of like a shower of meteors, and then it has a pretty long cooldown. But if you go into your party menu, click on that attack, swap it for another one, and then switch it back, it resets the cooldown. Yeah, it's a little glitch that was in the game back when I was playing. I don't know if it's still there, if they fixed it, but it's really good for farming in this area here because you get a lot of XP. It's like absurd, man, absurd. If I didn't use this, it would take much longer to reach the maximum level. So I kept doing that until I reached level 59. With that, I went to Saya using that pal to ride because it makes it faster to dodge the creatures and such. And in the middle of it, I still used a bazooka to kill this Saya, the boss. But it didn't work as well as I expected because my little pet died really quickly. And then when I was alone, it was very hard to survive. In the end, I ended up dying. So that strategy failed. So, time to change strategy, right? Because this went wrong, and we shouldn't persist in the error. I know this method works, and many people do it, but I think I'm just not very good, so it's better to try another method that works better. I went to get the best pals I have for this specific boss. I have this Noklin, the Shadowbeak, this Xenoguard, which if I am not mistaken is one of the best for this fight, but they had some pretty crappy stats. I even saw this pal operation table. It is like a surgery table, where we can swap the stats for some specific ones. It is a limited number of stats, but there are some that are very good, especially compared to the ones I had before. So I went ahead and swapped them all out. It cost a lot of gold. So for that, I had to farm a lot of iron and things like that. Since I left my PC on 24 hours a day running this game, it wasn't a problem. I had tons of metal. Anyway, after that, obviously I went to farm some levels to get these pals as high as I could. I reached level 61, they got to 62, but unfortunately they are capped at my level. But I think it's enough to be able to kill the boss. I just made some better armor because mine was kind of crap, and that's how I went to try and kill Saya using this setup. Basically, I kept switching these Noklins the whole time until both died. And meanwhile, I landed several hits with this plasma. I was doing pretty well. I took off more than half her health, but my creatures started dying, and after that, I just took this huge hit from her and it was over. Game over. But I never give up. So once again, I keep changing my strategy, man. I'm always like this, oh, that didn't work. Let's try this again. That didn't work. Let's try this instead. So once again, I went back to the gulping strategy. I said, man, I haven't tested him with the weapons I have now since this plasma is much better. I said, yeah, maybe if I try with him, it'll work this time. And that's what I did. I grabbed them, got on my mount, and started blasting Saya. For those who still don't get it, I don't need to use these gulping, they just have to be in my party. And they already use their passive to give an attack bonus. So here it is, just run, dodge all possible attacks while I blast plasma right in her face. doing this the whole fight, there comes a time when my strider ended up dying, right? And it was just me left on foot. But I actually started to learn how her attacks work, the boss's moveset, and that's how I managed to kill her quite easily. This time I didn't die, it was in one go, and with that we got another achievement for defeating Saya. Then I leveled up my stats, which, by the way, it's been a while since I showed you how my stats are doing. So for those who want to take a look, it is like this. The numbers might be a bit exaggerated. It is because I tweak the world settings a bit, as I have already told you. But I think it is somewhat balanced. Otherwise, I would not be struggling with these bosses like I am. It would be easy. And obviously, I came back once again to this insane farm we have here with this jet dragon. I leveled up to 64, and these final levels take a long time to level up. I have to keep repeating this several times, so I kind of gave up on the last level and said, man, you know what? I'll probably get that last level just by doing the missions and completing the final bosses. So I just headed to the last one located on this Faybreak Island. But for the first time, we have a different setup here, because to face this boss, we need these tokens. And to get these tokens, we need to kill 3 bosses. I already got this first one here quite easily. And with this man, I just said, you know what? It's full of bosses here. I've barely killed any of them. And I'll probably need to kill all of them for something. Or to get 100% itself. So I just went along killing them all. Everyone I could reach, I went and killed. It was actually pretty cool. It was really fun to do that because there were some different voices I hadn't seen yet. I think even some pals I hadn't discovered. To be honest, there were some that were in a really hard location to find. I looked in many places, I couldn't find them. I had to watch some videos on YouTube to be able to find them. But after a while killing them, we finally get to face this boss, which is Bastigor, who, if I'm not mistaken, that pal is a legendary pal. It might not be, but it is very strong. It has this power that looks like a Kamehameha. Well, I was doing fine. I had 3 pals on my team and I took out a good chunk of its health for the first time, but I died. Yeah, it didn't work out. I also took the chance to reach the maximum level. I was very close. So I came to this area and farmed a little more. And that is how we reached level 65, the maximum level in the game. And I kept trying various ways to kill this boss with different teams. And every time I changed teams, I had to go there and farm more, get them to the maximum level. That part is annoying, I will be honest. And if it weren't for that little trick, brother man, I don't even want to imagine the nightmare it would be to save the sticks. Anyway, I was using this Noctilin's team more, and with them, I actually almost killed this boss. I got really close. He had 75,000 health left, but then I started taking those attacks of his. There was no way. I ended up dying. And since it was getting really hard, I said, you know what? Let's do some different things, level up more, get stronger, because now I'm at the maximum level. There's no way to level up anymore. My creatures are actually pretty well leveled. They don't have 4 stars with the best possible stats, but I was even a bit lazy to do that because it's very time consuming. The grind to get everything to the maximum with 4 stars is very boring. Probably almost no one has done this in the game. So I went after the raid bosses, and to be able to face them, first you have to go into the caves. And there are many caves, which is a part of the game I hadn't done yet. The good thing is there are many low-level bosses in these caves, so it was quite easy for me, overall. And every time you went in, you would find some fragments, like this Libero slab fragment, like this one for Bellinor Libero, which unlocks his difficulty. The boss is Bellinor. And we had to get about 4 of each boss to be able to face them. But there is one on the easier difficulty and another on the harder one, meaning tons of fragments. And the most annoying thing about finding these caves is that besides having to search the map, sometimes you would go to the spot where one should be and it simply is not there. Yes, the reason for that is because they have a sort of random rotation. So there are 10 possible cave locations, but only 3 will actually have one. Yes, it is something like that. It is probably not that exact number, but it has this really annoying rotation. So you have to keep running around the whole map looking for these caves. Then after you have all the fragments and crafted at the workbench, you can summon it. First, you have to make this altar, which is actually quite simple to make. And you have 2 options. Either spawn the creature there at your location, at your base, or go to the arena. For most of them, I used the arena because they were easy to kill, didn't need much preparation. With this Bellinor, I put all the pals I had, the strongest ones. As you can see, not all of them are level 65 actually, most are well below that. And I'm not gonna level them all up, man, seriously, too lazy. Imagine having to level all these pals up to level 65. It would take forever, right? And here, brother, there was no chance for this creature. It was obliterated, mainly because it is level 30. It is the diffi. It is the first difficulty of these raids. It is the weakest of them all. So I managed to kill it very easily, thus unlocking 1 more achievement. And just to clarify one thing for you, for those who don't really know, this type of game content, these raids, they are meant to be done in multiplayer, yes, with several people helping you. Usually they recommend about 4 people to be able to kill the beast. What this means is that it is incredibly difficult. I managed this one because it is level 30 and I am level 65. Now imagine these others here are Thalis, yeah, that I already have to summon. Level 65. Man, doing this solo is almost impossible, but I did it. Yes, I did it. I killed them all. So first of all, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, man, because I think I deserve your like. Now, let's get to the grind. You'll have to see how I did it, right? That's what you're here for. But now on Libero difficulty, which is much harder, I did the same thing. I brought all the pals I had, the strongest ones, and I already summoned the beast. Level 50, this is where things start to get serious. I kept trying to stay at a distance using my jet dragon, using all the little powers I had there. I didn't want to be on foot, man, using a weapon, because I was afraid he'd slap me and I'd die. That probably would have happened. I stayed mounted on Jet Dragon because he was much faster too. And it was going pretty well. I was taking off a lot of health. My pals were tanking. I was just lowering the beast health until it got near 0. I was almost killing him, getting all happy. The beast recovers a large part of its health. This is enough to screw a guy over. You think you're killing the beast, but it gets angrier, stronger, and recovers some of its health. I hate when they do that in games, but I didn't give up. I just took out all the pals that had died, the weak pals, and replaced them with other strong pals. It is a real pal fight. Whenever I could, I took my big bazooka and blasted the beast in the head. The shitty part is that these next pals I used to kill it that I summoned were much weaker, so they died much faster. But it has very little health left, 39,000, 37,000, and all my pals are dying. I started to panic, trying to swap, adding more, but I had also run out of pals. I was already kind of poor on pals, but I didn't give up. I kept at it, trying to keep them there as long as possible, trying to keep my pals alive for as long as I could, sometimes acting as a distraction, using Jet Dragon, and sometimes I would dismount when I could. When I saw an opening, I'd hit it with a bazooka. I kept doing that until I finally killed that pest. This one was much harder, and with that, we unlocked another achievement. And here, the achievements started to get much rarer, right? Only 9.4% of players have this one. But there are some even rarer ones that you will see. And I am already getting hoarse from talking so much. Wow, what a long video. This must be the longest video on my channel so far. I hope you like it, okay? And every time we defeat these raid bosses, we get an egg from them that we can hatch. And by doing this, coincidentally, I get another achievement for catching 90 different pals. That is a whole lot of pals. Well, after that, I had to let my pals recover. You know, it takes about 10 minutes for them to fully regenerate. In the meantime, I grabbed the best ones that had already revived and went to test the new game mode, which is the arena mode. This mode actually has a lot of potential. It could be really cool. Yeah, I didn't really play much multiplayer, but the multiplayer idea is pretty awesome. I don't know if it really turned out the way it could have, yet you guys who played for longer, someone who maybe played the multiplayer mode for a good while, might be able to say better. But anyway, even the single player mode is really cool. And here, our goal is quite simple, but complicated at the same time. To get one of the trophies in the game, we need to reach the maximum rank in the arena, which is the master rank. And brother, this is not easy, not even a little bit. First victory, very smooth. The guys are level 20. We already got 50 more. Bronze rank. I kept killing many. It kept getting harder, right? There came a time with this Dogan here where all my creatures were dead. I had to use my plasma, right? My plasma weapon to be able to kill him. The other one was just there, kind of abandoned, kept there without wanting to move, right? Poor thing was so lazy. The other one was just there killing the trainer while I was beating his guy. And that is how I won this duel. We are now at silver rank, also getting another achievement. Oh, Akinurmt ad. So, Event mode, if only it were as easy and quick as this one was. And well, now, after all this grinding where we've become super strong, the time has come. It is time to kill the final boss of all, at least the ones in the towers, which is this Bjorn and Bastigor, those badass monsters. Yeah, I did the same thing. I used this knock to tank him while some Gokt gave me that attack passive, and I just fired a bunch of rockets at him with this bazooka, and I was destroying the guy, draining all his health. Even though the time was really short because the guy has a lot of health, I managed it. It took about 40 seconds or so, but it worked. We killed him and got the achievement. So I took the best pals I had, especially those from the raids I unlocked, and I went ahead and leveled them up in that way you all know. I got most of them to the maximum level because now it is time to build a perfect team so we can face the arena mode. Yes, there is a ton of stuff to do, and I mean a lot. Take a look at the ranks so you can see there is bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and master. Yes, very high level. And I need to reach the master rank. And the easiest way is to face the enemies of the maximum rank, which is master. They are all level 65, but they are quite difficult, to be honest. The guys are like insanely good. I tried a lot, several times, because I wanted to defeat them at least once, man. It is a matter of honor. To get 100% for real, even if it is not strictly needed for the achievement, I wanted to beat the master rank guys. Otherwise, I would not be a true master rank, you know? So I kept trying, lost many times, and dropped to the lowest possible rank from losing so much, but I insisted using the best ones I had, as you can see, and that is how I finally managed to defeat these max level guys for the first time. Since they give 100 points to rank up, it gets much easier, but it is not something you can rely on, because when you lose, you also lose a lot of points. So what I did was try to face the weaker guys there, which gives 50 points, and that way I can rank up more reliably, you know? Every time I face one, it is guaranteed that I kill them, because I am level 65 and they are level 60. But if I were to keep doing that, I would have to keep repeating it for several hours straight until I reach the level I need. It would take too long, it would be boring, even if I were watching something else on another screen. So I came up with a little trick that makes these things easier. I downloaded a little macro, and I actually had to test several different ones because it took me a while to find one that really works. Yeah, I think it was actually quite a lot of work to do that. Don't think it's easy to set up a macro at this level, because there are many things you have to click, you have to win a duel, so it has to be a macro that works, that lets you win a duel. But I managed to set it up and left it repeating. And as you can see up there, from the moment I started using this macro, I still repeated it 89 times until I managed to reach this master rank. But with a lot of effort and a lot of macros, right, I finally managed to win that last duel. And we got the achievement for reaching master rank in arena mode. Yeah, the grind was long, but we made it. But since I was sleeping at the time, I left the PC recording and running, which actually generated an 8-hour video of many repetitions, just me doing this infinitely. I ended up doing a lot of these duels, and as you can see there at the end, it was over 270 repetitions. Now my goal was to get the rest of the achievements and also do those other raid bosses, because there are still a few missing. I started with an achievement where I had to craft over 2,000 spheres, which are those Pokeballs. That wasn't even hard, I just picked the easiest one I could make, since I had more resources getting the achievement, and I also did another one where I had to craft 20,000 rounds of ammo. Yes, you heard that right, 20,000 rounds, that is a lot. I was lucky because since I leave my PC on, as I've said many times, I had a lot of resources saved up, so I managed to craft them. It was just a matter of time to craft it all. And now it is time to face our next raid boss, which is this Blazamut Ryu. It is a fire type, so we had to use as many water creatures as possible, but I did not have that many. So I ended up using everything I had at max level. And I was actually doing well, man. My creatures were simply obliterating it. I think it is the fact that most are level 65, right? He is at a low level. As you can see, I leveled many to the maximum level. The annoying part is what I told you, right? When he is almost dying, he starts to recover, his health getting stronger, sort of entering rage mode, but he was no match for our team of super strong professional pals. I managed to kill him very easily and got the achievement. Actually, he even survived a lot. Look at how many pals are still alive. Now for the next achievement, I had to do something I should have done since the beginning of the game, right? Because it is very useful and gives many good items, which is putting our pals on these expeditions. The annoying part is that it takes a long time. Yeah, often it is 1 hour per expedition, 40 minutes. So I took advantage of time I wouldn't be playing much. I just left them on the expedition doing nothing, right? Or doing something else, working, I don't know. I did this a lot at night too. I left my PC running with that awesome macro. I set it up again here. This one was much easier since I just had to put all the pals there and send them on the expedition. So in this infinite loop of repetition, I managed to get this achievement for doing 10 expeditions. Then I went back and did that expedition setup again because now we have another one for completing 20 of these expeditions. Now the next achievement is much more complex. Even though it seems easy, it is actually quite difficult, which is to do all the tower bosses again, but this time on hard mode. So I started with Grisbold. As you know, he is the weakest of them all. So as expected, it was easy, right? I killed the beast very easily. But getting to Lily, you start to realize that it is not that easy. She starts taking a bit longer to die, but it was still fine. I did it on the first try. I did not have much trouble. I went to Victory Shadowbee, which is this big guy here. This is where I found it harder and died for the first time too. It wasn't just once, I died several times, but there was one time I was almost killing him. He had very little health left, and I ended up dying. This one was intense. It took a lot of tries, but we made it. Next was Marcus and Phalaris, which wasn't easy either. I ended up dying, but I managed to kill them. Then we have Axel and Orsurk. This one is a higher level, but I got it on the first try. I don't know why, maybe I got lucky, but the important thing is that I did it, right? And finally, we have Saya, who as expected was quite difficult. It took a few good tries, but you just have to use the strategy I used the first time, which is to dodge a bit. And that way we managed to kill her, completing this achievement, Champion of the Palpagos Islands. I think I said that all wrong, but it is the Champion of the Island. But you must have noticed, right? There is one boss missing. Yes, and this achievement wasn't updated because actually this boss came out later in an update and they didn't modify it to include defeating 7 of these bosses on hard mode. But since the video title isn't I got the platinum, I did 100%. Obviously I had to kill this guy on hard mode too, which is Bastigor. Because here, brother, things get intense. This guy is so difficult. You have no idea. It was really annoying. Even using this overpowered team I have here, it was tough. But using this plasma cannon, which I think is the best weapon of all, I managed to deal a lot of damage, and that is how I killed him on hard mode. Unfortunately, there is no achievement for this, which there really should be. Well, now for the next boss, we will have to use a much more complex strategy because he is very strong, and if I just send my pals in there, it will not work. He will kill me easily. So I built an attack base. Yes, I set up this base, as you can see, in this very strategic spot, which has this wall, which has this mountain that sort of traps the creature here, and then I surrounded it with these machine guns to be able to blast the boss. I placed all my Anubis to be able to control the machine guns, and that is how I summoned the next boss, which is this Belenoir, who is level 65. Yeah, this guy is super strong. As you can imagine, he's the same level as us, but he was made for like 4 players to take him down together. Me alone would be tough, so I have to use these different methods. And it was going very well. They were completely annihilating the beast, draining all of its life. But there comes a time when he killed all my Anubis who were controlling the machine guns, and then there was no one left to shoot. I even tried to switch, to go there and put others in control, but it wasn't working, man. He was killing everything too fast because they aren't that strong anymore. These ones that are left, they are low level. And I kept insisting on it because he was almost dying. He had 227 health left. But there comes a time when he uses a special power, and if you don't stop it, he blows everything up. And that's exactly what happened. The beast obliterated my entire base. He destroyed everything, simply everything. Then I had to redo it and build it all over again. So I went and tried that plague again. It destroyed everything, but at least it was almost dying. It had 24,000 health left. But that's the thing, right? When it's about to die and you're about to be happy, it had 1 health left. And instead of being like the others where it recovers a little bit, the thing recovered all of its health. You get it? Everything. Literally everything. At that moment, I started losing hope. I thought, how am I going to kill this guy? It is not possible. It is simply impossible. The thing is a war tank that never dies. It has so much health and still deals a lot of damage. It kills my pals easily. So I just gave up on this machine gun siege. I saw it wasn't working. He was destroying the whole base. I had to keep rebuilding. It was really annoying, so I went straight to arena mode. I put all my pals out and I thought, I'll try to keep him from killing all my creatures at once. You know, try to keep him a bit further away, something like that. See if I can draw his attention and see if I can kill this guy. But it wasn't working. I even made it to the second phase. He was already at half health, but the time would run out because I didn't have enough damage to kill him. So I took a break and went after an easier achievement to clear my head. For that, I had to come to this area, which is like an oil extraction site. My goal was basically to complete this little dungeon, but it was so easy since I am level 65 that I just used this overpowered ability from my Jetragon and eliminated all the enemies. Then I just opened the chest and that is it. Achievement unlocked. And now to defeat our next raid boss, that Arthaeus, who is very strong. I decided to try and get some different creatures, some other pals, to see if I could kill him more easily. I even got another Jetragon, thinking maybe with 2, I might be able to do it. I kept doing that. I caught some other creatures and just threw them all in there to see if I could kill this thing. But it wasn't working. I still kept dying. But you know, we should never give up. Keep the faith and keep trying. And that is what I did. There was a moment when the creature got down to 1 health, and I actually thought it would reset everything again. But my pals kept attacking, and I kept hitting it too. And it just caused a massive explosion that obliterated everyone. It was a 1-hit kill for everyone, but I managed to kill it and got the damn achievement, King of Salvation. I even got some rings and an egg from it. And just so you have an idea, the percentage of players who got this achievement is 1.4%. Then for the next boss, I got some different creatures. I got these Lux here that I didn't have. They are very cool. I think their design is really awesome. And well, the next boss is this Xenolord. He is quite strong. Yeah, I think he was supposed to be one of the toughest, but since I am on a more recent update, we can reach level 65 now. He is weaker, right? Because he is level 60. Back then, he was really difficult, but nowadays he is easier. So I just threw all my pals at him, kept shooting from afar, and that way I managed to kill him quite easily and got the achievement. And now I went after catching all the pals, literally all of them. I went around catching at least 12 of each, and that is a ton of pals, right? I went around killing some different bosses that I hadn't killed yet. I even had to go fishing, man, because there are some you could only get by fishing. There is no other way to get them. But it is actually cool. I enjoyed the fishing mini game. And the good thing about doing this, about catching all the pals, including 12 of each, is that you start exploring the map more and you notice things you hadn't seen yet. Cool parts of the game, you know? So I kind of explored 100% of the map to be able to catch all these pals. I even had to breed some because I thought it was easier, right? There are some that are much better than just catching them. You know, breeding is much easier, especially now that I have this electric incubator. It's super fast to hatch everything. In the process, I even managed to get some more legendary pals that were missing, especially these two here that are together, right? Which are Palladius and Necromus. I thought their design was really cool, but I am 5 levels higher than them, so it was not very difficult. Yeah, I managed to get their health low, and that is how I captured them. The first one I caught was Palladius, unlocking this achievement, and right after, Necromus unlocking another one. And so with all these pals I caught, it became easier to get this next achievement, but I still needed a few more. So I used this sphere launcher, which makes it much easier to capture these pals. As you can see, I just launch a bunch up and it directs them right at the creature and captures it super easily. I did this a bunch of times to capture several Gobfin, because here we will need to maximize 5 pals. Yes, getting 5 pals to 4 stars, the maximum rank. It took a lot of Gobfin to do this, but you have no idea how much. The upside is that you can sort of use a Gobfin that is already at max level to feed another Gobfin. And so this achievement becomes much easier, because if I had to capture all the pals to literally get all 5 to max rank, it would be a much longer grind. So I just did that, and that's how I managed to unlock this achievement. Now I need to get 20 of these bounty tokens, which are basically these bosses scattered around the map. And by killing 20 of them, we get this achievement, which is Alpha Pal Slayer. And then after that, continuing to explore the map, killing the rest of the bosses there. I managed to unlock an achievement for finding 70 different areas. And I kept going because now we are very close to beating the game. There is very little left, and my next task was to catch several different pals. And I actually thought this part was really cool, as I had told you. And by catching 10 of these pals, we unlocked this achievement. But I needed to catch a rarer pal because that one was very common, and to get this rarer one, I had to go to a specific location that I saw was better. Yeah, and in this area, there were a bunch of those ganglers, those fish that stay deep in the sea, the ones with a little lantern in front, you know? Well, by catching them, we unlock a pretty interesting achievement, because it's an egg for capturing 1,000 pals. Yes, we are at the 1,000th pal captured. As you can see, it glows a bit purple. Just use this quality bait and you cannot go wrong. You will manage to capture the creature. And by doing this, we get this achievement, which is the Lanky Hunter. And now the next goal is to clear an enemy faction base. Believe it or not, I hadn't done that even once. Yeah, because the other things I did, which are kind of like those little dungeons, those enemy camps, aren't considered a faction base. Only these taller buildings count. So I hadn't done it even once yet, but since I'm strong, it was quite easy. I just used that powerful move, went in, and killed everyone. And after opening that chest at the top, we unlock the achievement. I actually think you don't even need to kill all the enemies. If I'm not mistaken, if you just reach the top and open the chest, it's already considered as having cleared the base. I'm not sure, but I think that's how it is. So I just continued on my journey to catch all the pals, literally all of them. I just kept walking around the map, going to areas I hadn't been to yet, and I'd also check the pal deck to find out where the pal I hadn't caught yet was. And doing this for a long time. When it was time for this Wyvern Botan, we managed to unlock this achievement. Believe it or not, there wasn't an achievement for catching all the pals, but that wasn't going to stop me from catching them all. And one of the ones that gave me the most trouble, that I found hardest to find, was this little chest here, the Mimog, which actually reminds me a bit of those chests from Dark Souls, where when you open it, it's a big beast. It's kind of like that. And I even messed up because I actually found this creature once while walking through these lava areas, and I said, it must be nothing special. I didn't even take it, I didn't capture it, I just walked right past. If I had done that back then, it would have saved me a lot of time because it was quite annoying to find this creature, but I caught it. I was very close to getting them all. Yeah, it was only about 3 or 4 if I'm not mistaken, but I decided to take a break before getting the rest and built this research lab where I can get some upgrades for the general game stats, which is actually something I should have done right at the beginning. You know, it would have saved me a lot of time farming, mining, things like that. But anyway, I messed up. And for that, I needed a lot of resources. It was like really a lot of stuff. Good thing I have this top tier farming base. Check out how many creatures are working here. There are so many pals working. And here, my brother, there is everything. There is stone mining, obsidian, metal, there is everything. And I just leave it running all night, all day. And when I come back, it is full of resources. So I took the chance and built a bunch of these labs. Because in my head, I could, though I do not even know if having this many makes much of a difference. If it makes it that much faster, because only some specific ones can work, it is only the ones of the same type. Actually, I thought I could use one for each thing, right? One just for mining, another for something else. But actually, that is not how it works. When you set something on one, all the others become the same. The difference is that you can have several pals working at the same time, making the research faster. And while I was there doing that research stuff, I went back to my breeding base, which is where my pals are breeding. And there were a lot of eggs to collect because I was making the last creatures I needed, which I hadn't caught yet. And I was finding it quite hard to catch them, some had to be fished, and it was very rare to get them. So for me, the best way possible was literally breeding them, right? So by taking all these eggs and putting them in the incubator, we finally get the last pals. And now, as you can see in my pal deck, we have all of them, without exception. Not one was missing, we got all the pals. They're at 11, 12 on some still. For these last ones I just caught, but I'll just keep repeating this breeding, right? While I leave them in the lab, they'll keep repeating it there, and soon I'll have 12 of those too. A simple little thing that I didn't even really need to do because there isn't even an achievement for it, right? But I'll do it. So now let's go back to our research here in the lab. We've already completed several mining ones, and by completing 10 of these projects, we unlock an achievement. Then another for completing 30 projects, and finally the last one, I will do 70 of them. That is a lot. This took a bunch of items. I was lucky to have this farm running 24 hours a day for several days, which I left going from the start, right? Otherwise, it would have been pretty impossible to farm all of this alone. But it still wasn't everything, so I had to leave them working a bit longer, doing the rest of the research. But now for our next achievement, since we are very close to completing them all, we have to fish a little more. And the thing about fishing is, like, there's no way you can stay in one spot. Casting the rod, reeling it in, casting, reeling, because you can only catch those specific pals that are appearing, which is that blue thing around them. You know, you can see that it's there, they're the only ones you can catch. So every time these in the area run out, you have to look for another area that has more so you can fish. And so I kept doing that, first getting the achievement for catching 30 pals and then one for catching 50. Besides that, I also had to clear a bunch of these dungeons, which there are many scattered across the map. Since I'd already done quite a few of them to get those raid boss fragments, it was actually pretty easy. I only needed to do a few more. And now, just like I did that one time, we need to clear 10 of those faction bases. I wasn't sure if just opening the chest was enough, or if I had to kill all the mobs, or if I had to free those pals trapped in a cage. To be safe so I wouldn't have to redo everything, I said, I'll kill all the mobs, grab these chests, and free the trapped pals. It's good because I get a few more pals for my collection. Not that I haven't already freed them all, but it's one more. And I kept repeating that until I finally unlocked this achievement. And now we have something different that we have to do in the game, which is to find 5 of these treasures that are hidden. And for that, first we need to find some maps. And by reading them, we unlock that location to be able to dig and get the treasure. Since I had already farmed a lot, done many things around the map, the game, and so on, I already had many of these maps, so I just read some of them and went after these treasures. And by doing that 5 times, we unlock another achievement. Now for the next ones, we'll have to do some really annoying grinding. In terms of grinding itself, of repetition, this one is one of the most annoying of all. First, we need to find 40 of those notes scattered around the map. Remember that first one we picked up in the game, that diary thing? Yeah, there are 40 of them scattered across the map and we have to get them all, but not just that, there are also those glowing green items, you know? The ones you collect to upgrade the statue. What's that? We have to get 300 of those. There aren't all of them on the map because there's sort of a higher number. I don't know if there are 400 on the map to give everyone more room to complete the statue and not be stuck. Like having to get every single one on the map, having to keep track of which ones you've already picked up. So that would be really annoying, right? So they did that to make it a bit easier. Still, the grind is annoying. There is no denying that. So I kept repeating this several times, and I saw a little trick you could use back then for this green item that glows in the dark was to look for them at night, and that way it was easy to spot. It would glow. First, I got this achievement for those 40 dailies, which by the way, only 1.0% of players have gotten. But anyway, it is not the most annoying grind. This one I managed to do much more easily. Now, the next one, which is this slith monkey thing, it was intense. It took a long time, and it was annoying. But doing this for a long time, we first get the achievement for 255 of them, which is the Palpagos Guru. And finally, the second to last achievement of all is the Palpagos Guardian, for getting 300 of these items. And with that, I managed to upgrade my tower to the maximum level, making our pal capture power much higher and our pals also much stronger. But for our final achievement, the ultimate one, we have to do something a bit surprising and different, which is literally killing a boss that is a helicopter. Yes, the boss is a helicopter. There is an area of the game that is much more isolated, that if you didn't know about it, you would almost never find, unless you were very lucky to be walking across the sea. But it is very isolated and looks like an oil extraction site. And when you complete this whole little dungeon, you kill everyone there, this helicopter starts attacking you, and then you have to kill it. Man, I didn't know the best way. I died a few times trying to do it. And then using several different weapons, I realized this machine gun was quite strong and was taking a lot of his health. So I used it and then finished with a bazooka shot. And that's how I killed that cursed helicopter, getting our very last achievement. And the chest in that area didn't have anything too different, really. It was just some cool items, but nothing surprising. Now, even though we have completed 100% of the achievements, we still have extra game content, which is a new DLC that came out from Terraria. It works a bit differently. First, you have to go to this little island that is more isolated on the teleporter. Then you enter this dungeon. There are many new enemies, like this green and blue slime, and there is also this demon eye, which are all enemies inspired by Terraria. There is even this enchanted sword, which I thought was really cool. And obviously, I went on to capture all these pals, which are really cool and quite different. Moving on, we finally reach the boss of this area, which is this giant eye, the Eye of Cthulhu. I am not even sure if I am pronouncing the name right. Anyway, by killing it, we can get a specific item that can make the Celestial Sigil. And with it, we can summon the last raid boss that we have not killed yet, which is this Moonlord. Check out this creature. It is really awesome. And for those who do not know, I think most of you do, but this is a boss from Terraria as well, right? I thought its design was very beautiful. It is really top-notch, and it works a bit differently because it has some specific points you can hit. He has eyes on his hand, on his chest, and you only deal damage if you shoot those parts. But since he is level 50 and I am 65, it was very easy. I killed him with ease. I also had many strong creatures, so it was GG easy. And now, finally, we managed to complete 100% of Palworld, getting every single pal, literally all of them, even the ones from the Terraria mode I got, reaching the maximum level, which is 65, killing all the tower bosses, including hard mode, which was quite difficult. Killing all the raid bosses, which are meant to be killed with more than one player, usually 4, and I killed them solo. Daddy is a beast. There is no way around it. And obviously getting all the achievements. Well, that is it. And if you enjoyed it, do not forget to comment below if you want part 2, because if this gets views, man, if it works out, I will bring the new update that is coming, which is 1.0. But for that, you have to leave a lot of likes. You have to break the like record, because this is by far the game that took me the longest to complete. It was 226 hours of pure grind of suffering. So leave your like. If you are not subscribed, subscribe, and that is it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll leave it here. See you in the next video. Thanks, bye.